You ever have one of those moments where you think, well, I didn't expect to be threatened with a $400,000 bridge today, but here we are. That's how my year went. And yeah, this is the story of how my homeowners association tried to steal my island. My own private island. Not a joke. Not a punchline, just the kind of crazy that only happens in America, apparently. So let me back up a sec. My name's Jonah. I'm just a regular guy in my mid-30s working IT, like to keep things quiet. Grew up in a cramped townhouse with a view of a dumpster and the constant thump of restaurant exhaust fans. All I ever wanted was peace and maybe, if I was real lucky, a place where I could actually see some water out my window. Fast forward through a couple decades, way too many late nights, a stack of overtime paychecks, and one existential crisis too many. I start scrolling lake house listings just to see what's out there. And then I stumble on this oddball listing house on a man-made lake smack in the middle of a gated neighborhood. But here's the kicker, it comes with its own private island, not shared, not community access. The actual deed said island included. I read that line about 100 times. I go to check the place out. The realtor Cal, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, takes me out back. The lot kind of rolls down to the water, and sure enough, maybe 100 feet out, there's this scruffy little patch of trees with a wobbly old dock and what used to be a gazebo. Yeah, that's all part of the property, Cal says, like he's telling me the garage door opener works. Separate parcel, separate taxes. Pretty rare deal. Should I have asked more questions about the HOA? Absolutely. Did I not a one? I was too busy picturing myself sipping coffee on that island at sunrise, maybe throwing up a hammock, grilling some steaks. The paperwork checked out. No easements, no weird shared rights. Nothing that would let anyone else walk onto my island unless I invited them. The HOA's own covenant spelled it out. Lakefront lots may include deeded island parcels which remain private property of the lot owner. I closed on the house 2 months later, feeling like I'd just won the lottery. Now, at first, everything was great. The HOA seemed normal. You pay your dues, you get a pool, a tennis court, a tiny beach, and a bunch of rules about not painting your house purple or leaving junk cars on blocks. No mention of my island except for that little line saying it's mine. Year 1, pure bliss. I fixed up the old dock, put in some new gazebos, one open, one screened in, pulled the right permits, got everything inspected. I even threw a couple cookouts for the neighbors. Most people thought the island was cool, but nobody acted weird about it. If you wanted to visit, you needed a boat or a strong sense of adventure, so it kept things low-key. Some hot dogs, a little music, everybody gone by 10, life was good. Then everything changed. The old HOA president Owen, a retired guy who mostly just cared about keeping the pool clean, moved to Florida to be near his grandkids. The new board elections, man, you wouldn't believe the types that crawled out for that. The new president was Trista picture, a power bob haircut, a frozen smile, and the kind of energy that says, I love rules, and I'm here to ruin your day. She shows up on my porch 2 weeks after getting elected, flanked by Cliff, who looked like a gym teacher gone rogue, and Janelle, who scribbled in her notebook like she was collecting evidence for a criminal trial. We're doing a review of unique properties in the community, Trista says, eyes locked on the lake behind me. Want to make sure everything's aligned with our vision. I'm like, unique? You mean the island? She gives me that aha gotcha look. I tell her what the old board told me and what's in my deed. Trista just keeps smiling. We're not taking anything away from you. Just making sure amenities are available for the benefit of everyone. Amenities. She meant my dock and gazebos. They're on my land, I say, and I paid for them. We'll be in touch, she says, and off they go, making notes. A week later, the first letter lands on my doorstep, HOA letterhead, and everything courtesy notice stamped like I'm supposed to be grateful. They want retroactive architectural plans, materials lists, usage intentions like I'm running a theme park over there, so I send them everything. County permits, inspection reports, a copy of the covenant that says the island is private. For usage intentions, I literally write personal enjoyment, occasional gatherings, max. 20 people, quiet hours, no rentals. Drop it off and think that's the end. Nope. Next letter. Your gazebos and dock are visible from common areas and impact community aesthetics, so they're considered amenity-adjacent structures. Board is reviewing options to ensure fair use, whatever that means. I ask around and the neighbors tell me Trista's whole campaign was about unlocking community potential, which basically meant if it's nice, it should be for everyone. She'd already tried to force people with big yards to let the walking trail run through their property, started a community garden without asking the people whose backyards she'd plowed under. Anything inside the subdivision fence in her mind was up for grabs. But see, I'm stubborn, and I actually read contracts for fun. I go through every page of my closing documents and HOA rules. There it is, black and white, where a lot includes a deed island. Parcel exclusive use of said parcel remains with the lot owner. Exclusive. Not shared, not by application. Exclusive. So I send the board an email, attach the relevant pages, highlight the text, lay it all out politely but directly. I say, look, the island is my property. The structures are permitted. There's no basis for the HOA to call it a community amenity. Please confirm this is settled. 5 days of silence. Then an email. The board has received your message and is consulting with our attorney. I think great, let the lawyer tell them what I just did. But a week later, I get the letter I now call the ultimatum. Stuck in my door, sent by email and certified mail, overkill but dramatic. Dear Jonah, after review, your island structures are exclusive use amenities on HOA-owned water and under section blah blah exclusive use amenities only accessible by watercraft create inequity. To remedy, you are hereby required to build a permanent pedestrian bridge from your private island to the association's community beach within 72 hours. If you don't find start at $250 a day and legal action will follow. Yeah, they really went there. I actually laughed reading it, but then I got to the part with the red line on a lake map right from my island to the public beach, and a note, bridge must be built here to ensure direct access for all. I sat at my kitchen table, my dog snoring under my feet, just floored by the audacity. March down and yell, ignore it and call their bluff. Nah, I'm not rich, but I'm cautious. I called my lawyer, Mariah. Mariah is one of those quiet people who doesn't look intimidating until she opens her mouth. I read her the letter. She interrupts, wait, what? They can't do that. She says, no, you can't be forced to build a bridge, especially at your expense to benefit common property. There are all sorts of permits and regulations for overwater structures. This isn't a backyard fence. She tells me not to ignore them, but to document everything and make them put all their crazy in writing. Music to my ears. She tells me to call the county too. County guy laughs, bridge over water, takes way more than 72 hours, permits engineering environmental review. Maybe it's not even legal. He emails me the guidelines. Mariah drafts a formal response, 3 pages, citing everything covenants permits law. She even adds a section about the HOA using photos of my gazebos on their Summer on the Island event banner without my permission. She attaches a picture. Let's make them sweat, she says. Board emails me back, Trista. Of course, we are disappointed by the adversarial tone. The bridge is a reasonable accommodation. The 72-hour window begins as of yesterday's date. As of yesterday. I mean, come on. At this point, I'm just done playing defense. Mariah says they've now made the demand twice after being warned in writing. This is gold if we have to go to court. She tells me don't do anything illegal, but you can comply with ridiculous rules in very literal ways. So I start my bridge process as by the book as possible, get a contractor out, document everything, list the association as the future owner and maintainer, since by the rules, any structure connecting to common areas becomes theirs once they accept it. Avery, the marine contractor, comes out. I explain the situation. He looks at me like I'm nuts, but he gets it. ADA compliant over water. You're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe more. He sends an estimate $350,000 to $420,000 plus maintenance insurance, environmental reviews. I forward it to the HOA. Remind them of the rule about common area improvements. Ask them to confirm in writing that they'll accept and maintain the bridge. By the next board meeting, someone's posted Avery's $420,000 estimate on the clubhouse bulletin board with "Ask your board why" in big letters. The place is packed. I read their ultimatum out loud. Kendra, a neighbor in a wheelchair, asks if they considered ADA requirements. Deacon reminds everyone that my island is my backyard, not a park. I announce my lawyer's preparing an injunction and the HOA's insurance company has been notified. Suddenly, the board looks like they're about to melt. A recall petition gets started. Within weeks, a special election is scheduled. The board caves, issues a formal retraction, pays my legal fees, and finally admits the island is private and not a community amenity. Deacon and Kendra get elected to the board, pass a rule that nothing like this can ever happen again. Summer on the island becomes summer at the beach. HOA leaves my dock alone. Kendra gets a removable ramp for visits because she's my friend, not because some power-happy board demanded it. Now the lake's peaceful again. Neighbors wave as they paddle by. Sometimes I have a few folks over for a cookout, always by invitation. The private no community access signs mean something now. People learned. They tried to force me to build a bridge and take my island. Instead, they paid my lawyer, lost their jobs, and taught the whole neighborhood what private property means. So tell me, where do you draw the line between what's fair for the community and what's right for the individual? Drop your thoughts below, especially if you've tangled with an HOA or had to stand up for your rights. I know I can't be the only one. Let's hear your stories. And hey, thanks for sticking around to the end.